Demolition Derby. Let's play hardball. Good evening, I'm Chris Matthews in Washington. It's roller derby time for the clown car boys. With only 10 Republicans allowed in the first TV debate, the Republican candidates out there are like the Three Stooges on skates, each bashing the other, trying to knock them off the course. Rand Paul bashes the Hawks for causing ISIS. Santorum goes ballistic on Paul, calling him a Bernie Sanders. Big Christie goes macho on Paul, saying he's too, love this word, sensitive. Paul swipes Jeb as not conservative, and Jeb swipes at Rubio for being a switcher. And as these guys whiz around the roller derby trying to knock each other off the course, Democrat Hillary Clinton speaking candidly about everything from her ambition to win the White House and her decades-long hair coloring has never sounded better. And all this is the latest polls show how wildly close this 2016 race is going to be. Michael Steele's former chairman of the RNC and Howard Fineman is global editorial director of the Huffington Post. Of the Huffington Post. That's got a lot of music, too. I got to go to Howard.
So nice you say it twice.
I'd be glad. Howard, Mr. Huffington, let me ask you this question. Is it because Reince Priebus, in his genius, has said only 10 of you guys and girls, if there's a woman in this, are getting this fight, this first debate, so you better duke it out and see who the 10 are? Is that what's causing this combustion of attitude?
Well, I think it's part of it because we have a weird version of a race going on where it's a race to not be eliminated.
Right.
It's not to win right now, and Lord knows the poll shows that nobody's really winning in any fundamental sense. It's to avoid losing altogether. So everybody needs a niche. Everybody needs attention. Everybody needs a sliver, just enough of a sliver to get over the whatever it's going to be, 3 or 4% of the vote required to be in the top 10.
Which means to be in the bottom 10.
Which means to be in the bottom.
Because nobody has over 10%.
Nobody has over 10. It's a political equivalent of entropy.
That's what you call the
Well,
early
is my back to you with you, Mr. Chairman. Is it true that Reince Priebus, your predecessor, I'm sorry, your successor,
right.
unsuccessful, anyway, whatever. Is it true that Mr. Reince Priebus created this log jam of ambition here where they have to kill each other to get in the door?
I don't think that he created. I don't think he set out to.
He said 10 guys or nobody else gets in.
No, he left it to Fox. He left it to he's leaving it to the media to decide that. The RNC is not setting the number of people on the stage.
So Roger Ailes has personally created this situation.
So for the first debate, Fox is the one that's determined what the measurement's going to be on the stage, and that's going to result into what you've seen so far. And it's going to get even more interesting because this thing is going to tighten up.
Republicans blame Fox for first time in history, right? For anything. Anyway, a circular firing squad is forming among the 2016 Republican candidates for president. As many predicted, the crowded field of GOP White House hopefuls are now aiming their attacks at each other. Kentucky Senator Rand Paul took aim at the Hawks in his party yesterday on Morning Joe.
ISIS exists and grew stronger because of the hawks in our party who gave arms indiscriminately, and most of those arms were snatched up by ISIS. These hawks also wanted to bomb Assad, which would have made ISIS's job even easier. They created these people. Everything that they've talked about in foreign policy, they've been wrong about for 20 years, and yet they have somehow the gall to keep saying and pointing fingers otherwise.
And he's going to be on Hardball tomorrow night. Former Pennsylvania Senator Rick Santorum, by the way, he's going to be a former senator for a long time. Here's how he reacted.
That sounds like Bernie Sanders, not like some Republican running for president. It just shows a fundamental misunderstanding of the nature of the enemy that we face.
Oh, my God. New Jersey Governor Chris Christie was asked about his comments over Rand Paul's opposition to the Patriot Act and mocked Paul for being too sensitive to run for president.
Senator Rand Paul called your comments not very nice.
That's okay. I mean, you know, they weren't meant personally at all.
Yeah.
We have a disagreement. If he thinks it's not nice to disagree, then he's probably in the wrong race because people will be disagreeing with each other all the time. So I certainly didn't say, I didn't even mention Senator Paul's name. So I don't know. He's getting particularly sensitive.
Sensitive. Anyway, Rand Paul also told MSNBC's Joe Scarborough that he doesn't believe Jeb Bush is conservative enough to win the GOP nomination.
I seriously doubt it. I think he's going to have trouble. I think he has trouble on two fronts. One, getting the nomination and convincing conservatives that he's conservative. Right. But his second problem will be the Bush legacy on war will destroy any hope we have of getting independent vote.
That's true. W's war is still a problem for all Bushes and all Republicans. And Washington Post reporter Ed O'Keefe gained access to a private conference call between Jeb Bush and Alabama Republicans where, according to O'Keefe, Jeb knocked Marco Rubio and Scott Walker, who used to support bipartisan immigration reform, saying, I find it interesting that people who share that view, rather than stick with the view and try to persuade people about it, in many cases have actually abandoned their views. If we're going to bend with the wind, then it'll be hard to imagine how we solve our problems. Well, there's a direct shot. You know, Bush is the front runner, still most people think of as the front. He's bashing back at these guys, at Rubio and Walker, because he's the only one. His wife is Mexican-born.
Right.
He is going to have to be pro-immigration. It just comes with the fact of his life. And then he's going to have Republicans who seem to have this tribalistic problem on this issue of Hispanic immigration. It just seems to sit there. It's become endemic among so many of those members of Congress who won't pass an immigration reform bill, even with teeth in it.
But the history of the party is not where the party is now. And when you talk about a party that once promoted assimilation and integration and expanding the pie for immigrants, that's what Bush is going to try to get back to. I think he's going to try to pick up where his brother
Is that one of the reasons you like him? Because he's positive on that front?
I think he's very positive on that front. I think that's why a lot of Americans are going to like him, too. When we really get into the debate of the conversation. And it's going to be interesting to see him push back on immigration and Rand Paul continue to create separation on this issue of war. And that's going to make this campaign over the next few months leading up to that first debate, where everyone's going to be doing the elbow thing, that much more interesting, because when they're standing on the stage like Howard and I are right now, it's a whole different dynamic when I look you in the eye and go, you were wrong on the war. How do you respond to that?
Well, you would do it to Howard right now. He's looking back at you. Let me ask you this. Do you think, Howard, do you agree with him that it's going to be an interesting fight, that they're really going to separate themselves and say, look, I thought the war was a joke, you guys are all hawks, and the other guy's going to say, I think you guys are basically, whether you intended it or not, you look anti-immigrant. And do you think that it'll really take sides, or everybody sort of bunch to the center and say, oh, we're all for following the law, or we're all for this?
Well, it looks to me, based on what Jeb was saying to the Alabama Republicans, that he's prepared to fight on that. And again, it's partly because of his family situation, because of his background. I think he's making the bet. He's playing a deeper game that he somehow will get the nomination, and then it'll serve him in good stead. Also will separate him from a lot of the others, because frankly, on immigration, a lot of the others are going to be playing
might not vote for a woman if they can find a superior Republican candidate, but they're not going to vote for some mediocre guy against Hillary. And that's true with moderate men who are for the suburbs. They're not going to vote for some yahoo, as you put it. They're going to vote for somebody they can imagine as president, and a better president than Hillary.
No, I think you're right.
And I think the Republicans are having a hard time coming up with somebody who looks like they'll be a better president than Hillary. When you
put into that mix just these two issues, immigration and the war, then you're really talking about a very volatile situation for the Republican candidates, because how do you have that conversation inside the party and then go into a general election mode with all this baggage from playing to a very narrow base?
I think Rand Paul is following a similar strategy, a parallel strategy to Jeb, where Rand Paul is betting that if he makes it to the general, he can come at Hillary and the whole Democratic establishment on the history of war making in the United States. Hillary voted for the Iraq resolution, even though she now says it was a mistake. He can come at them from a different direction there, which could be very interesting.
You know, I'd like to see, like Hillary Clinton, I'd like to see up about 5 or 10 points after her convention, or going into her convention, which is the second convention, and picking John Kasich and blowing everybody's mind. Because that would just blow everybody's mind. They'd say, McCain talked about doing it, picking Joe Lieberman. The first person that comes along and says, you know what, I'm going to pick somebody of quality on the other side. We're going to change this system, make it work. Just a thought. It probably won't happen, but maybe it'll stir something just by saying it. The latest Quinnipiac University poll, 5 Republican candidates are tied for first place. Look at these numbers. It's weird. It's like a slot machine out in Vegas. Jeb Bush, Ben Carson, Huckabee, Rubio, I'm reading this thing off the chart, Walker all at 10, followed by Rand Paul at 7, and Ted Cruz at 6. I mean, these are so close. Nobody's made it into the top 90%. And everybody knows Jeb Bush. That's what hurts him, right, Howard?
Well, that's what hurts Jeb Bush.
Yeah.
Yes.
90% of people know him and say
absolutely.
no.
But what that says
Ben Carson, nobody ever heard of.
What that chart says to me is that two things are fading. One is the Bush dynasty, quad dynasty. The other is the old Republican idea of
You say it like the Duck Dynasty.
Yeah. The other's like the stately procession that the Republican Party used to have.
Yeah. Whose turn is it?
Whose turn is
Like
it?
the
Next
Democrats
man
have
up.
Yeah,
the
that's
Democrats
right.
have sort of adopted that.
Right.
That looks like the Democratic field in 1972 when the Democratic Party was falling apart and there were 12 candidates running.
Yeah, I think my take on that.
I love the way you laugh at the fact that Democrats are becoming Republicans.
Oh, I just find that the most
you
amusing part. I think that is just absolutely amusing to watch the Democrats dance with Hillary over the next few months and watch everyone just kind of line up very dutifully behind her when they know that's not who they want. But it's her turn. So, and they owe her from 2008. In the way they went after her and effectively screwed her out of the nomination, they owe her. And I think that plays a lot of what you see going on right now on the Democratic side. They're not being honest about who they really want and why they want them.
I'm tempted to say Judge Steele, so I'll just say, Your Honor, you've just ruled on this case. Thank you so much, Michael Steele, former Republican National Committee chairman, predecessor of Reince Priebus. Anyway, Howard Fineman, my friend.